They say when God created the world, he made everything in pairs, light and dark, hot and cold, man and woman. But there was one thing missing. He searched high and low until he found her. An enigma, a puzzle with eyes as deep as the cosmos. A being both alluring and terrifying. The first demon, Lilith. As beautiful as she was wild, untamable, a spirit of the void that whispered to the unborn potential of man. And so God knew she needed someone to match her intensity. Someone who could balance her chaotic energy. Someone like Samuel. Samuel, the angel of wisdom, once walked the celestial halls of heaven. His wings shone brighter than the morning star, and his very presence calmed the storms of the cosmos. But the whispers of forbidden love are a dangerous melody. And when they reached his ears, he felt the pull of something he couldn't understand. When God saw this, he knew it was time to bring them together. So he led them to the Garden of Eden, a place of tranquility where love was supposed to bloom. But even in paradise, shadows lurk, and soon their forbidden love would ignite a war that would shake the foundations of the universe. Deep in the heart of Eden, where the air hummed with divine energy, Lilith danced. Her movements were hypnotic, her laughter echoing with otherworldly charm. And when Samuel saw her, he was captivated. Her beauty was like a supernova, explosive and awe-inspiring, and he found himself drawn to her like a moth to a flame. But their connection went beyond physical attraction. They understood each other in a way that surprised them both. She saw the turmoil in his angelic eyes, the conflict between his duty and his desire, and he saw the loneliness in her, the longing for acceptance, for a love that didn't fear her power. And then their eyes met. Time stood still. The whispers of the cosmos faded away, and all that mattered was the undeniable pull, the magnetic force that drew them together. In that moment, they knew their paths had been intertwined by fate. Their love story wasn't supposed to be this way. It was a cosmic joke, a cruel twist of destiny that pitted angel against demon. But love doesn't always need a reason. It just happens. Like a shooting star streaking across the night sky, leaving a trail of wonder and chaos in its wake. As days turned into nights and weeks into months, their love intensified. They explored the boundaries of Eden together, seeking solace in the quiet moments away from prying eyes. They shared their deepest fears and desires, their laughter echoing through the ancient trees, their whispers carried by the evening breeze. In stolen moments beneath the canopy of paradise, they discovered that their differences made them stronger. Samuel's wisdom tempered Lilith's wildness, while her passion awakened something primal in him that centuries of celestial duty had suppressed. They were fire and water, chaos and order, darkness and light, yet somehow they created something entirely new between them, something the universe had never witnessed before. But the garden walls had ears, and soon word spread of the forbidden romance, the angel and the demon, united by a love that defied the laws of the universe. Whispers traveled through the heavenly realms like wildfire. Angels spoke in hushed tones about Samuel's fall from grace, while demons watched with curiosity and envy as one of their kind captured the heart of heaven's wisest warrior. The balance of the cosmos itself seemed to tremble at the audacity of their love, and the forces that governed existence grew restless with uncertainty. And when God learned of their secret tryst, his anger burned hotter than 1,000 suns. He confronted Samuel, his voice booming like thunder, shaking the very foundations of Eden. How could you, my trusted angel, betray my command? How could you love a creature of darkness when your essence is light? Samuel looked down, unable to meet God's gaze. He didn't have an answer. He couldn't explain the magnetic pull he felt towards Lilith, the way she made him question everything he'd ever known. All he knew was that he loved her, and he couldn't deny it any longer. "I'm sorry, God," he whispered, his voice heavy with regret. "But I can't deny what my heart feels. I choose Lilith." In that moment, God's face contorted with rage. He unleashed his fury, turning the Garden of Eden into a battleground. Vines whipped like pythons, flowers turned to venomous snakes, and the very air crackled with divine power. The paradise that had witnessed the birth of their love now transformed into a theater of divine wrath. Trees that had sheltered their embraces bent and twisted, their branches reaching like accusing fingers toward the sky. The rivers that had reflected their joy turned turbulent and dark, mirroring the storm of emotions that now engulfed them all. But even in the face of God's wrath, Samuel stood his ground. He spread his wings, once symbols of wisdom and enlightenment, now tainted by association with the forbidden fruit of love. "I choose Lilith," he cried out, his voice echoing with newfound strength. When Lilith heard his words, she knew she wasn't alone. She had an army of shadows and whispers, of those who had been cast out, misunderstood, ostracized for being different. Together with Samuel, they formed a formidable force, a rebellion against a heaven that had never embraced them. The war that followed was epic. Angels clashed with demons, their weapons of light and darkness colliding in a symphony of destruction. The very fabric of the universe trembled as the battle raged on, tearing at the seams of existence. Celestial bodies collided, stars exploded into supernovas, and black holes formed where once there had been only emptiness. The war transcended the physical realm, spilling into dimensions mortals could never comprehend. Reality itself bent and warped under the weight of such cosmic conflict, and the screams of the fallen echoed through eternity. And in the heart of it all, Lilith and Samuel fought side by side, their love a guiding light in the chaos. Their combined powers were a sight to behold, a dance of shadow and flame, of raw, untamed energy that shook the heavens and hell alike. Samuel wielded his wisdom like a weapon, his strategies turning the tide of battles that seemed lost. Lilith commanded the primal forces of darkness, her power flowing from the void itself, ancient and terrible and beautiful all at once. Together, they were unstoppable, a force that neither heaven nor hell had anticipated. But the war took its toll on them. Every fallen angel, every demon slain, tore at their souls. Samuel felt each loss like a dagger to his heart, watching brothers he had known for eons fall from the sky, their light extinguished forever. Lilith bore witness to the destruction of those who had found courage in her example, demons who had dared to dream of something beyond their assigned roles in the cosmic order. The weight of responsibility pressed down on them both, threatening to crush the very love that had sparked this conflict. And Lilith, marked by ancient symbols of power, bore the weight of a legacy that predated the dawn of time. She was more than just a lover to Samuel. She was his equal, his partner in this cosmic rebellion. And his love for her only grew stronger in the face of adversity. He saw in her not just the demon that others feared, but the being who had dared to be herself in a universe that demanded conformity. Her strength inspired him, her vulnerability humbled him, and her unwavering belief in their cause gave him the courage to continue even when hope seemed lost. Yet, even in their darkest hour, they held on to hope. The hope of a new dawn, a world where angels and demons could coexist, where love wouldn't be a battlefield but a bridge. They whispered to each other in the quiet moments between battles, painting pictures of a future where their love wouldn't be forbidden but celebrated. They dreamed of a cosmos where diversity was strength rather than weakness, where beings could choose their own paths rather than being bound by predetermined roles. These dreams sustained them when exhaustion threatened to overwhelm them, when the casualties mounted beyond counting, when the very purpose of their struggle seemed to fade in the face of endless conflict. After what felt like an eternity of war, the final battle came. Samuel and Lilith stood before God, their armies at their back, ready to face the wrath of the universe itself. The moment hung suspended in time, heavy with the weight of countless lives lost and the potential for countless more to fall. But this time, it wasn't just about love. It was about acceptance, about proving that love, even in its most forbidden form, deserved a place in the grand tapestry of existence. It was about demonstrating that the rigid boundaries that had governed creation since the beginning of time could be reimagined, that compassion could triumph over dogma, that unity could emerge from the ashes of division. God looked at them, his eyes filled with sorrow, but also a flicker of understanding. He saw in their defiant stance not just rebellion, but truth. He witnessed in their unwavering commitment to each other a reflection of the very love he had embedded in the fabric of creation. In that moment, he realized that love wasn't something to be controlled or contained, but something to be cherished and nurtured, even in the face of the impossible. The rules he had established, the boundaries he had drawn had been meant to maintain order, but perhaps order without love was just another form of chaos. And so, he made a choice. With a heavy heart, he withdrew his forces, ending the war that had torn the universe asunder. His voice, when he spoke, no longer carried thunder but carried instead the weight of profound sadness mixed with hope. "I created all things," he said, his words reverberating through every dimension. "Light and darkness, heaven and hell, order and chaos. But I also created love. And love, I now understand, cannot be confined by the laws I set forth. It transcends all boundaries, defies all logic, and perhaps that is its greatest strength." And in the aftermath, something extraordinary happened. Angels and demons, former enemies, came together, laying down their weapons of war, drawn together by the unifying force of love. It wasn't easy. There were years of healing, of rebuilding, of learning to trust and understand one another. Old prejudices died hard, and suspicion lingered like smoke after a fire. Angels who had fought against the darkness for eons struggled to see demons as anything but enemies. Demons who had been cast out and condemned found it difficult to believe that acceptance could be genuine. But as the wounds of war slowly faded, a new era dawned, an era of coexistence, of peace and understanding. Former battlefields became meeting grounds where angels and demons learned to communicate, to share their stories, to recognize their shared hopes and fears. Children of both realms played together in gardens that grew where devastation had once reigned. Knowledge was exchanged, wisdom shared, and gradually, the walls that had divided them for so long began to crumble. Lilith and Samuel, once outcasts, became symbols of this transformation. Their love, once forbidden, now served as a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, love could find a way. They walked through the rebuilt realms hand in hand, their presence a testament to the power of courage and conviction. Young angels looked upon them with admiration, seeing not fallen beings but pioneers who had dared to challenge an unjust system. Demons regarded them with pride, knowing that one of their own had shown the universe that darkness could love as deeply as light. They established councils where representatives from all realms could gather, share concerns, and work together to address the challenges of this new reality. Samuel's wisdom proved invaluable in navigating the complex negotiations required to maintain peace. Lilith's understanding of those who existed on the margins helped ensure that no voice went unheard. Together, they crafted a new order, not one imposed from above but one built from the ground up, with input from all beings who called the universe home. But as the wounds of war slowly faded, a new era dawned, an era of coexistence, of peace and understanding. Former battlefields became meeting grounds where angels and demons learned to communicate, to share their stories, to recognize their shared hopes and fears. Children of both realms played together in gardens that grew where devastation had once reigned. Knowledge was exchanged, wisdom shared, and gradually, the walls that had divided them for so long began to crumble. Lilith and Samuel, once outcasts, became symbols of this transformation. Their love, once forbidden, now served as a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, love could find a way. They walked through the rebuilt realms hand in hand, their presence a testament to the power of courage and conviction. Young angels looked upon them with admiration, seeing not fallen beings but pioneers who had dared to challenge an unjust system. Demons regarded them with pride, knowing that one of their own had shown the universe that darkness could love as deeply as light. They established councils where representatives from all realms could gather, share concerns, and work together to address the challenges of this new reality. Samuel's wisdom proved invaluable in navigating the complex negotiations required to maintain peace. Lilith's understanding of those who existed on the margins helped ensure that no voice went unheard. Together, they crafted a new order, not one imposed from above but one built from the ground up, with input from all beings who called the universe home. Samuel and Lilith's love taught the universe that the boundaries between light and dark, good and evil, angel and demon, were never as clear as they seemed. In the space between those extremes lay infinite possibilities, shades of gray that contained their own beauty and truth. Their union proved that strength could be found in vulnerability, that wisdom could emerge from passion, and that the greatest power in existence wasn't the ability to destroy but the capacity to love unconditionally. So, if you ever feel lost in a world that doesn't understand your love, take heart. The tale of Lilith and Samuel reminds us that love, in its many forms, deserves a chance. A chance to grow, to heal, and to inspire even in the face of the greatest odds. When society tells you that your love is wrong, when institutions seek to divide rather than unite, when fear masquerades as righteousness and prejudice hides behind tradition, remember that two beings once defied the very creator of the universe for love, and in doing so, they changed existence itself. Their legacy lives on in every act of courage, in every bridge built between opposing sides, in every heart that dares to love despite the consequences. They proved that revolution doesn't always require violence, that sometimes the most powerful weapon is simply refusing to accept that things must remain as they've always been. They showed us that when love is genuine, when commitment is absolute, when two souls recognize in each other something worth fighting for, then mountains can be moved, heavens can be shaken, and the impossible can become reality. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all, that we are not bound by the limits others place upon us, that we possess within ourselves the power to reshape our worlds, that love, true love, the kind that sees beyond surface differences to the essence of who we are, can accomplish what no amount of force or authority ever could. In their story, we find hope for our own struggles, inspiration for our own battles, and proof that standing up for what we believe in, no matter how impossible it may seem, is always worth it. So let their tale be told and retold, let it inspire generations yet to come, let it remind us all that love is not weakness but the greatest strength, that acceptance is not surrender but the highest form of courage, and that sometimes, just sometimes, one act of defiance born from pure love can change everything, can heal ancient wounds, can unite what was divided, and can transform the universe itself into something more beautiful, more just, and more worthy of the love that created it in the first place.